Medication errors happen all the time because people often don't understand exactly what we give them medication for. We give them a written sheet of what the medications are, when to take them, how to take them, but they don't always understand that or want to or even have the bandwidth or wherewithal or the cognitive ability to take the medications as prescribed. And it's a huge reason why people end up in the ER and hospitalized.
Somehow we need to prioritize home care where the patients are taken care of so that they don't get in the severe conditions that bring them in for common diseases. Certainly more supervision is needed. You could save a lot of money if you supervise patients in their making sure they take their medicines, making sure their medicines are appropriate.
Well, if patients are not taking their medications the way they were prescribed by their physicians, they are wasting those medications because they will be viewed as ineffective. We're assuming you're taking it as instructed, but there's no way to validate that or verify. It's when you come in, how you been? I'm fine. You're taking your medication? Yep. Next.
You're talking about just the reality for so many Americans who are on 5 and 7 medications. You come into the hospital, you're on 6 medications, you leave on 8 medications, but 4 of them are new and 3 of them are different. And some are twice a day, once a day, 4 times a day, before meals, after meals. No, we're talking about a complex regimen. And as you say, you give people a bag of drugs and you give them a single page of information. No, we need to understand what's going on with patients. Every patient discharged from a hospital needs a call the next day because everything I told you before you went home, you forgot by the next day. And, we're talking about people who've been in a hospital. They're not feeling great. Their minds aren't working normally. Their bodies aren't strong. And we just assume that because we gave it to them, they're going to do it.
We have been together for about 18 years and married 7 years. We have no children, but we do have 2 dogs, Chopper and Rocky. Just taking care of ourselves and no other responsibility. We do all kinds of stuff, go out with friends, do a lot of stuff that really, since the stroke, we haven't really been able to do that.
I worked at UC Davis, and I used to drive heavy equipment, and almost 20 years. And now I can't go back because I can't walk. I used to go to the gym after work for like 2 hours every day. And then I'd walk my dogs an hour every day to give them a good workout. And then I'd come home, give my wife a hug, and I'd make dinner. And we'd watch TV and, hang out.
Anthony's dad died, and so we sort of moved in with his mom, who lived by herself. She's 93 years old, and she has Alzheimer's and dementia. And so we moved ourselves here, and then 2 weeks later, after his dad died, Anthony had a stroke. So you go from no responsibility to all of a sudden having to care for 2 people with serious medical injuries. So yes, it's been life-changing. Mentally, it's exhausting. And it's like physically it's exhausting. I'm like first one up, to prepare everything. You try to get, especially you have a doctor's appointment, you got to get him up. It's not like he can get himself up. It's not like he can go to the bathroom by himself. You got to get the urinal, clean him up, get him up off the bed, put his shoes on, put his brace on, change his clothes, brush his teeth, do every single step to that point. And that's just before 8 o'clock because he's got to take his medication at 8 o'clock. And then once he's up, get him up, get his breakfast, get his medicine. And it's not just like the stroke, you got to deal with his diabetes. You got to watch out for his diet. It is a lot of screaming, a lot of really frustration. And sometimes I don't like myself because I tend to be I feel like sometimes
It's okay.
I become a mean person and I don't like it. And that changes a lot on someone you love and you see them like that and they can't help themselves, And just to have a better understanding of what a person is going through
They can't control it, but you can. But I try to go through it, and I wonder to myself, how much longer can I do this?
I think I'm on about 10 different medications, if not more. I don't want to be overdosed. I got to be safe. I do not want to die over medication.
When we left from the hospital, I get this big old, printout of all his medication, okay? And the nurse who was supposed to give me time to go over the medication, she was like, oh, just watch the video. Yeah. Just watch the video. It's all on video. I'm just like, what?
The HiDO system is a mix of technology between a machine that knows what pills you have to take, that's all been registered in the system. It calculates how many pills you actually have in the system, and it will generate these pills. Linked to an app on your phone, you can see what pills have been given, when they were given, and then you can see if any were missed. There's a chart on the phone. There is a facial recognition function that as a person ages and has dementia, they don't remember codes or passwords. So she knows at a certain time to go there, look at the camera on this nice screen. It looks and sees her face and then activates the screen to say dispense. She simply presses one button. The pills start to dispense in the order that has been programmed. At the end of that period, she takes the little cup up that's at the bottom, and as soon as that cup gets picked up, the camera comes on. It can see her taking pills, so it can be registered and monitored, and they have a record of this. And then she can also say, I'm doing great today, thank you. And then she puts the cup away and it's over. And it gives a nice little sign on the screen that says, congratulations, you took your pills, which makes her so proud.
That machine is fantastic. I wish I had it years ago, because I know I'm taking the right medication at the right time. I think it'll help the caregivers too, take care of the patients. Because when she's at work, she doesn't worry about it, because she knows I'm going to take the right medicine. I think it's all about safety.
I think taking all his medication on time without error is reducing the rate of the chance he's going to go to the hospital, for sure. I mean, when he pushes all those buttons and drops and sees the medication get drops and he takes it, I'm confident it's happening. I'm not worried about it at all. It's great, because other than that, who's going to give him the medication when I'm not here? It can't be his mom, It can't be the dogs.
Our patient is in a wheelchair. He can roll himself up to HiDO. HiDO dispenses the medication. With the one side of his body that's still functional, he can grab the cup and self-administer his medication. So he's not dependent on his wife, who in the previous environment, pre-HiDO, was totally responsible for administering the medications to her husband. So this has been a life-changing technology for that family. And the alternative is, without HiDO, someone would have to be at home to administer his medications. If it's not his wife, who now is back at work, it would have to be some kind of home care nurse or provider at an expense that is exorbitant compared to HiDO. Unfortunately, with dementia, it's not so much that you can cure dementia. So medications are used to stabilize patients and hopefully slow down the progression. So in dementia patients that are not compliant, when they have progressive dementia and maybe acute flare-ups, we don't know if it's because the medications aren't working or they're not taking their medications. So when you ask a patient with dementia, do you remember taking your medications? I mean, why would you even ask that?
Oh, before my diagnosis, I was alive. And because as I got older, things started happening. And if I didn't have an accident, if it was one thing or another, But then after all these years, I'm happy. Do you want to know how many years?
Sure.
Oh.
I'd love to know.
Oh.
If you're okay with that. Yeah.
I forgot. No. What am I again? 800. 80. Yeah, I'm 80 years old, right? Yeah.
Yes, she's a social butterfly. She loves to chat and meet people. So she would love to get out on her little shopping trips with her neighbors. She would love to go and just sit and talk and people watch. She loves bingo. It gives her something to do. She used to have extreme high mental acuity, and she could quickly go through 20 or 30 cards. When they said B2, and she'd go. She may have lost a step in her acuity and ability to reason quickly, but her comical backbone of what she does in everyday life is just still there. So she's still doing that, but just her short-term memory has gone down 80%, I'd say, in the last 3 years.
I actually have a friend whose husband had a stroke, and we were at a birthday party, and she was talking about caring for her husband and how difficult it is, and that she has this device that's helping with medication. And I said, I'm caring for a Parkinson's patient and a dementia patient. Tell me more. Please tell me more. And that's when I was able to get in contact with Charles, had a great conversation, and really my mind was blown that this was even an option and that we'd be able to bring it into our homes. When you're a caregiver, you grasp at straws. You look for every possible resource, anyone who can tell you a better way to do it, a new technology, a new solution. It really is, when you're not familiar, you're walking into foreign territory, and then all of a sudden, you're responsible for someone, and they look to you to, run their life essentially.
They did everything on their own. No instructions. Set up, used, trained their mother-in-law that has dementia, and she was able to use it, and she was taking her medications like pretty much 100% of the time on time.
We are eternally grateful and thankful for the opportunity to do that, because it really has changed things. Definitely a game changer. When I see Gloria put on her lipstick and get dressed for the day because she's looking forward to taking her medication and knowing that she's going to have some interaction, or that someone from the outside is going to be hearing or seeing her, that makes me feel good as a caregiver and boosts her spirits as well. It really does. When we went to dinner and then came home and she said, "Oh, I took my pills," we both looked at each other like, she probably didn't take her pills. Then we walk over to the device, said, "Congratulations." And I ended up letting Charles know, because I said, she took her pills by herself. So we saw this behavior modification very, very quickly.
And the beauty of HiDO is the same care we provide in a hospital with the nurse giving a patient a medication can now be done in the home for a fraction of the cost, using a technology that has the ability to provide remote monitoring. And that is the game changer. When you talk about caregivers that care for their loved ones, there is guilt big time. Patients may be wanting to be fiercely independent, so there's anxiety on the patient. They don't want their loved ones to be bothered by the situation they're in. So you're always the potential is that you're gonna hear, "I'm fine." But they're not fine, but they don't wanna bother anyone. But from a real life standpoint, if that takes the stress of a family member and we can provide care for that patient, that's the beauty of this technology. So you can be as fancy as you want, but at the end of the day, if it allows a quality of life for that family unit, not just the patient, but the family structure, we've done a great service for our patients.
What has really brought this together is not so much the funding perspective, because we've gotten just enough money to get by and to continue to develop. And we have investors that truly believe in what we do. It's the belief in the impact of the patients, the millions of lives that we could potentially touch. I think that's what really has brought this team together to where we're at today. Now, once we get additional funding, that's when things are going to get very exciting, because it won't be talking about touching millions of people's lives, but we will be able to actually have this dream come a reality. The entire HiDO device was created by patients. Our engineers engineered the device and they built it, but This is the culmination of many patients feedback, patients' questionnaires, interviews. The patients developed HiDO, and what they wanted is they wanted to be able to track whether or not they were taking their medications.
So since working with these patients and deploying the HiDO device, it's been about, for some of the patients, 2 to 5 months working with these patients. And we've already are starting to see a reduction in ER visits and hospitalizations in these patients. Now that we're adopting HiDO, the pilot program, and we've learned so much more about exactly what happens at home, I feel like my eyes are wide open and I can't close them anymore to the understanding that what we prescribed and our intention for the patients to take the medications at home is not actually what's happening. I've learned from my patients who now have the HiDO device, one, that they don't always take their medications as prescribed, but also I have patients coming out of the hospital who have a new diagnosis and multiple medications they've never taken before. They're overwhelmed initially, but when were able to install the HiDO device into their home, they felt more comfortable with taking medications. They felt more comfortable that they were taking the appropriate medications at the appropriate time, and they started feeling better. What's also beautiful about the machine is that if the patient doesn't take the medication and they don't respond to the reminders on their phone, then we get notified and we can reach out to the patient and we can call them or call their loved one and find out what's going on. And the difference that this makes is that we pick up on it early.
I'm gonna read this off to you. So this is a group of patients from a pilot plan. This is the start point. So a variety of these patients start in November, December, and January. These are the admits pre-12 months. These are the admits post. Inpatient days prior, and inpatient days now. So this is what we've accomplished with these patients.
Wow. You go from 20 admits pre and to 1 post, and these patients which have severe dementia, obese, diabetes, mental health disease, heart failure, they're sick. I think it would be astounding if we could do better in providing health care. And that shows that we can obviously do that by enhancing our compliance to medication and having the proper medications.
I think about my grandpa who's in his 70s, still loves to work on cars, diabetic, cataract, continues to age, and life is a barrier every day as he gets up. He's the most non-adherent person I know, right? Because he'd rather go fire up the hot rod and not worry about the meds he's taking. Then he pops a Snickers for lunch, and next thing you know, his eyes hurt and his feet hurt and he's swelling. He needs a HiDO device, right? He needs something that simplifies everything in his morning routine, that literally rolls in, pushes the button, grabs his meds, and he's off.
Hospitals are dangerous places. You don't sleep at night. You often develop mental issues across time because you're so sleep deprived, all the noise that's sitting there, hospital-acquired infections, 200,000 medical errors a year, all these different issues sitting there. How about if we can take care of you at home?
The potential in improving health outcomes and decreasing medical errors could be life-changing for so many people.